Hey everyone, my name is Brian Eckberg. I'm the community manager with Turn 10, and I'm joined by the creative director for Forza Motorsport 5, Dan Greenewald. We are here at E3. It's a little bit hot.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's only day one, but yeah, it's always a long show. It's kind of a testament to endurance.
It smells like E3.
That's true.
So look, guys, we're here on the Microsoft Studios channel. We wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Forza Motorsport 5, a game that we debuted a few weeks ago back at the Xbox One announcement. Now we're here at E3. We're talking all about details for Forza Motorsport 5. So I wanted to get with Dan and talk a little bit about it from a community standpoint, answer the questions that you guys want to have answered, and give you a chance as well to talk to Dan and ask those questions, those burning Forza 5 questions as well. So hit us up in the chat room. I know a lot of Forza fans are there right now. Hit us up in the chat room. We're going to be paying attention to the chat and getting as many questions as we can answered. But let's start off, Dan, a little bit. I want to talk about the early days of Forza Motorsport 5, because not only is this a new Forza Motorsport game, it's on a new platform. So for me, it's all brand new. I've never done anything like this. What's it like for you? I mean, you've been with Forza since the beginning, but launching on a new platform, a new motorsport game.
Well, now I sound all like seasoned vet guy. Now that I shave my head, it's like the Max Payne look, so I can sit here, this is what it's like. Right. No, so obviously I was around during the launch of the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. Launching a platform is incredibly difficult, but incredibly rewarding too. You know, Forza Motorsport 5 has got a very loyal fan base. We've been really pushing, not only in simulation, but actually bringing people together around cars. And this is a great opportunity. I think in many ways it's kind of 10 years in the making. We've been building the franchise, building the engine, building the team, and now being there at launch is a tremendous opportunity for us.
I've been lucky enough to be doing some of the behind closed doors with Bill Giese, our design director, and one of the things he was talking about was how long our graphics engine has been in development. He's talking about, like, our chief architect started talking with the platform team 4 years ago. I mean, this is a long development cycle for a game, and I think it really shows in Forza Motorsport 5.
Yeah, our chief architect, Chris Tector, was asked from the very beginning by the platform team, hey, how do you want to build this? What are your aspirations for Forza Motorsport 5 technically? You know, Bill and I were both brought in regarding what sort of innovation we wanted to bring into play. And so we really started designing Forza Motorsport 5 a long time ago, before we even really thought it was 5 or not 5. We were just thinking, what do we want to do in the next generation? And there were some really key components of that. You know, obviously, Chris was very excited about the chief architect regarding materials and lighting and subsurface scattering, and we started talking about the idea of an uncanny valley for cars and the imperfections of the real world. A lot of that was just investigation. We started working with outside teams and thinking of new ideas. And then there was the work on the cloud and what we could do with a box that actually has the power of the cloud, you know, kind of sitting there in the background, able to do work for us. And I'm really excited about the innovation. I mean, I've been working now on racing games for over a decade, and it takes a launch like this to really get me excited again about, wow, there is so much we can do. There's new things we're doing in physics with the power of this box. The graphics look amazing. It's native 1080p, 60 frames per second. Epic multiplayer matches with dedicated servers, no longer peer-to-peer. I mean, everything has a revolution in here, and we're not even talking about Drivatar yet. I mean, Drivatar is really... people have been searching. I've been seeing it, you know, since basically the briefing. People have been searching for the right comparison for it. It's not there. You're not going to find the right comparison. So really the only way I've known how to explain it to people is to kind of dig in and explain it, because it's not like Ghosts. It's not like Replays. It isn't like time-shifted multiplayer, async. It isn't like those things, and it is technically AI, so we said the end of AI to get people's minds to open up, but it's actually less related to AI and more related to big data and search. So, you know, that's kind of where you have to start. It's a good understanding of what big data gets you, what curation means, how search works, because that's what machine learning is.
A lot of things we saw yesterday when we were talking about Drivatar is like, why are we calling it Drivatar? It's a legacy name for Forza Motorsport, but as you said, we're sort of breaking it down and rebuilding it. So why did we stick with the Drivatar name?
Well, you know, it's kind of silly. This game's called Forza, and the original Forza was called Forza as well. It's a trademark name, and what I liked was that Forza Motorsport 1, the original, came out in 2005 with this feature that was way ahead of its time. It was this machine learning system, Bayesian. It worked on the console, but that was a much less powerful console, and it wasn't using cloud computing. But it still was machine learning, so it was called Drivatar. our hope with naming it Drivatar again is actually to harken back. This is yet again a new system, 100% new, using new types of new systems basically with big data and the like, but it's still learning. So calling it Drivatar to us is about the legacy that it was ahead of its time then, it's way ahead of its time now.
So how does it work? I mean, when I start playing Forza Motorsport 5 when it comes out at launch, how is Drivatar going to get to know me and know my tendencies?
Well, I think there's a couple ways to answer that. You know, there's the ways as a player that you're going to kind of perceive Drivatar, and those really fall into three main camps. Whenever you're driving, you're going to be training your Drivatar. Whether you're in single player, multiplayer, anywhere in the game, you're always training your Drivatar, and it's getting better. It's learning how to generalize, and so if you drive once in an all-wheel drive car on Laguna Seca, it's going to learn that. If you go to another track with an all-wheel drive car, it now has a better idea of all-wheel drive. If you go to Laguna Seca twice, it has a better idea of Laguna Seca. So the more you drive, the more accurate it gets, and it can get accurate fairly quickly. So your only interface with that as a player is at the end of the race it says, I learned some stuff, boss. You know, right. So that's not actually the big player realizing that's going on, but that's actually where the horsepower is, because that's where big data is sitting in the background just pulling in all your telemetry, all the decisions, all the conditions that you were driving under, and just thinking about it. And there's no other way to really describe it in human terms, because this is what search does. Now, the two other ways that you're really interacting with this as a player is when you're racing yourself, and not against yourself, but when you're actually racing in single player, and all of the other opponents in the race are Drivatars, and they have human tendencies, so your friends and your family, and they're in their customized cars, and it's not like async, and it's not even like a fake async where you can hit them with collisions. They think, and they think like your friends, so they're going to hot lap the way your friends hot lap. And yes, I know people are like, well, what about if my friend's a griefer? Then it's going to grief. That doesn't mean it's going to drive backwards. We do have some kind of cuffs on it to say there's certain behavior that we don't allow the Drivatar to learn because it sucks. Yeah. But the tendencies that make your friend a competitive, fun person to race with, it captures all of that, and it learns things that we don't even expect. And this is where it gets cool. Making really fast AI is really, really hard. Learning how to be fast by watching how someone used a car against the track, didn't trick the, it's not scripting, it's not using tricks, it's not using rubber banding, it is using the car against the track, against the physics to go faster. So that means that every time you log in, our Drivatar world is just going to change. The difficulty settings are just going to move, because the hardest difficulty setting is based on real people. So we've got guys like on our team, like Christian, really fast driver. He is faster than AI, but his Drivatar is going to be as fast as him.
So how are we going to meter that so that I'm not always driving up against Christian and I have a chance to place high in a race?
Well, in the past we've had AI difficulty settings, and I think we had 5. I don't remember, something like that. Now we have far more of them, because honestly the things that separate a really, really fast racer, the time that separates a really fast racer from a really slow racer, it's an incredible gulf. So we needed more granularity in between those. So as a player, you can select your difficulty setting, and that will load in these cache Drivatars that were being worked on in the up there in the ether. So if you choose the absolute hardest difficulty setting, you're going to get guys like Christian, and those AI are going to be faster than we can make. These are Drivatars. They drive like people. And if you choose the lowest end, they're going to be a lot slower. They're going to be running into the walls a little bit more.
You're talking about me, aren't you?
I wasn't going to say so, but I got it.
But it will sort of pick and choose based on your skill set, right?
Yeah, and then you're able to actually move that around, so you can choose, who you want to race against, and then we pull in your friends and family automatically.
One of the things I really appreciate about Drivatar is the fact that it's working for you even when you aren't playing Forza Motorsport 5. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and that's really the third way that you interact with it as a player. Every time you log in, you see that your Drivatar has been doing work. He's been out there racing against your friends, racing against your family, racing against the world, and you're going to see, oh, he did these races, and you get some money for that. And it just gives you that feeling that this world never ends. And that's what I like about this, and this is what's different. I think people are judging the next gen by last gen's kind of game set, and they should be charging us as creators to say, surprise me, come up with something new. And when we do, evaluate it. Take a look at it. It's something new. Here's something that's always on, it's always working, and it's always evolving. So every time you log in, you're going to find out, oh, my drivatar was doing stuff. And every time you log in, you race against your friends, they're going to be different. They're going to be in different cars, different paint jobs that they really own. And if they got faster over the weekend by practicing, their drivatar is going to be faster. And if they got slower, they're going to be slower.
It's part and parcel of it being a learning system. As your skills improve or deteriorate, so will your drivatars, correct?
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So I always have a sneaking suspicion about my own driving style personally, is I feel like I'm better at left-hand turns than I am right-hand turns. And it's a specific thing that I think I notice about my own driving. I'm wondering if something really specific like that might be reflected in how a drivatar drives on track.
It would, absolutely, because it's not just learning the things we taught it to learn. I don't know how to describe that better. There's not a syllabus for what it's supposed to learn how to do. It learns how to learn. So it's going to learn things that we're not necessarily expecting. Now, of course, it is server-based, so that allows us to actually, if it's doing things that are causing some sort of aberration in the community, we can actually say, don't learn that as much, or don't do that as much. But what's cool is it's going to learn things that we never planned. And so, yeah, if somebody's faster going left versus right, or on a certain type of hairpin where we think generally those hairpins are the same, but it turns out that the overall world actually takes those two hairpins differently, the drivatars will start taking those hairpins differently as well.
It's really cool. All right, we've talked a lot about drivatar. Let's hit a couple other aspects of the game that I know you want to talk about. First of all, a lot of people I see in the chat room are talking about the car list. They want to know what cars are in this game. This is a car game. I know we're not announcing specifics, but what can you tell us about the car list?
Well, obviously this is an epic Forza game. So there are hundreds of cars. Every car features Auto Vista, Forza Vista. Forza Vista is the ability to open up the car, explore it, really get up close. All of the cars have their own personalized career, so you can really fall in love with the car. Now, we've got a lot of diversity in our car list, as always. So we have hot hatches, production rally, you know, like a Subaru STI, things like that. American muscle cars. We've got purpose-built race cars. This is a motorsport title. And for the first time, we have open wheel.
Nice.
We're going to be talking a lot more about that moving forward, but that's really exciting.
In fact, I wanted to do a quick plug for the website tonight because we're announcing open wheel officially tonight, right? I mean, we have
details tonight, but actually we're announcing that it is here. But you know, open wheel can mean a lot of things, and we're going to start nailing that down this evening. So
it starts tonight. If you guys want to go to ForzaMotorsport.net, you'll see a news story detailing some of the cars that will be in the game, so don't miss that. That should be a lot of fun. But let's hit on open wheel a little bit. We've announced that they're in the game. Does that pose any specific modeling or physics problems?
Oh, why do you ask me physics questions, Brian? You know me. You know where I'm going to go with this. So obviously, physics is a big deal to us as a team, and to me, I can't not like
face lights up.
I can't not obsess about it. So you know, we've pushed the boundaries with things like tires and Pirelli in the past. We did an all-new suspension model in 4 that was really cutting edge. Things with mass block and aerodynamics that really put us on the cutting edge of the last generation. Now we're doing things in this generation that were not possible with the power of the last one. They just weren't possible. There was not enough power in the console of the last generation to do what we're doing. We're not announcing all the details there, but what I will say is we did Pirelli tire testing, right? We did Toyo testing before that. The testing that they did is usually referred to as Calspan testing, sort of like tissues are called Kleenex. Because Calspan, this company in Buffalo, pioneered tire testing. They pioneered the rigs that do tire testing. They drive a lot of the SAE. They do a lot of the National Highway Safety Institution. They do all these tests. And they're really the guys. When we looked at what we did in Forza 4, I thought the only way to do better is to become not the world's leaders in games for these systems, just become the world leaders. I started asking the Pirelli guys, even back on 4, you know, I got this theory about the way heat interacts with these tires back at these, you know, really far out slip angles. Have you guys ever tested out there? And they're like, no, why would we? You know, we know the tire is going to fail eventually out there, and we're really testing, does it fail or not, and what's its performance capabilities? Well, when you're building a simulator, you need to know every little aspect, the whole gamut. So we're working with Calspan right now on a whole new way of testing to get data that even the tire manufacturers don't know. In fact, when I went to Calspan, because I couldn't think of anyone who might know this, they said, oh yeah, we've never tested that. That's really interesting. And so they got all, kind of, I don't know if I should say it, but we all get kind of,
geeky.
Well, nerdwood around it. And we're very excited.
It's Twitch. We can say nerdwood.
Okay. We got really excited about trying to do this thing that isn't just on the cutting edge of games, but on the cutting edge of tire physics and science. Now, it just so happens they also can test suspensions in new ways, and they have a 1,000-mile-per-hour wind tunnel. They test warheads, like missiles in that for South Korea. It's crazy, right? So these guys are testing in things that, other manufacturers just don't go to those extremes. Well, when you're building a simulator, having the extremes is incredibly important. We're also now getting a lot of data, so using the power of Xbox One to do that. So this is actually exclusive. I haven't gone this deep with anyone yet. I only do that with my man Brian.
Nice. Just for you guys. That's awesome. So, and we'll have more on Calspan later in the summer, right? Lot more to announce.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just barely scratching the surface, and it's not even in our current demo. We don't have it turned on because we're still doing all the testing. So we're in a hybrid state right now. We have some of the new data, we have some of the old data, and by the time we get into a later demo in the summer, it's going to be all the new system. And honestly, I don't even know what it's going to do.
You're just not going to, well, I won't even go there. But look, we've talked physics, we've talked cars, we've talked Drivatar. We have not talked Prague yet. Prague is our crown jewel for Forza 5. I guess the question, last time it was the Alps. What do we look for in a sort of crown jewel track? What are we looking for, and why do we choose Prague?
Well, I think in many ways this goes back to the 4 years ago when Chris Tector was looking at what he thinks the engine of the future should be, this DX11 engine. How do we use the subsurface scattering? How do we use materials? He really put us on a path that was about capturing those imperfections that are in the world. And when we looked around the world, we thought, last generation it was great to have draw distances, and those are expected, and Prague has that. But what we wanted to do was get that old world feel. I mentioned in the briefing the worn concrete. It's so amazing, especially coming from the United States and from Seattle, where, you find a building that's like 30 years old and you're like, wow, that's ancient history. And you go to Europe and it's like, people have been walking up these steps for 2,000 years, and you can see the footprints of, forever. That's the kind of wear that our new engine can really show off, because even on stone you get this subsurface scattering, and it just it brings out these imperfections that your eye can just kind of pick up. It's really cool. So Prague's got the cobblestone. It's got, this old world charm. It's got great draw distances. It's got atmosphere and lighting, and the light streaming through the fog, and the fog on the river. We've got trees and God rays coming through there. Beautiful flowers and grass. It's really got everything. And so it was a perfect place for us.
And the kind of architectural variety that I've never seen in a Forza game. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Prague's a beautiful city. And the other thing is it's an aspirational place to go. It's kind of a bucket list city for a lot of people. I mean, as is London and New York and Tokyo and all those places. But it's amazing how often I hear of people who have wanted to go to Prague and have not yet. Right. Whereas a lot of people want to go to these other big cities, but they have gone once.
I was lucky enough to go to Prague. You should go, Dan.
No, I know. I want to go. It killed me that everyone got to go, and I was all like, "Oh, I'll stay in Seattle. I'll test tires."
All right, let's take some community questions, because I know a lot of you are out there want to hear just want to hear from Dan on a bunch of different issues. We're getting a lot of questions about customization. Customization is a standard in the Forza series. What's it going to be like in Forza 5?
There's some really big changes in customization. Some are in the tool, but more of them are actually in the distribution method. This new materials actually gives us a whole new area of play for our painters, because you can now, paint a car solid gold, and that material will come through the same way real solid gold or all carbon fiber or brushed aluminum, so that it's no longer just basically like satin paints all the way through. So those materials are everywhere through the game, and I'm really excited to see what people can do, because it's one thing the community has taught me, is that I cannot forecast what cool stuff they will do. Even our own team, and when Javier and Fred get involved, I'm like, what are they going to do? and it's always amazing. So that's on the tool side. But on top of that, how you distribute. So we're no longer doing auction house and storefront, and I know some people will be shocked by that. We're distributing a new way now, and it's actually, the goal is to make it very, very seamless. So it's easy to follow your favorite painters and find them on the scoreboards, so they'll be very famous for the type of painting they do. But also, those painters get paid based on usage. And the usage, this is how all these things kind of wrap together. This is the sort of thing I love. Whenever I buy a car in the game, these paint schemes that are created by the greatest painters in our community get surfaced to me. And when I pick it, I don't have to pay for it. I just gets put on my car. The more I use it, the more that guy gets money just for my using it. And it doesn't come out of my bank account. He just gets paid by the game. But it's based on every time I use it. But also, because I'm using it, it becomes something my drivatar prefers. So it's going to show up all over the world because I picked it. And then if I picked let's say a rally-inspired skin, because I like rally cars, then those are going to show up more in my curated. So whenever I buy a new car, so I go from a Subaru, I buy a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, I'm going to get served up paint schemes from that same artist, because it's curated, or paint schemes that are also rally-inspired, because it's learning. The cloud is learning what I like. Now I can still go do an advanced search, or I can go find the artist I like, but really the goal was to take the friction of payment out while still keeping our great painters getting paid and getting loaded and getting rich.
Absolutely. It's really important. There's also the aspect of tuning your cars. You'll still be able to do that in Forza 5 as well.
Absolutely. We still have great upgrade system. We've got the tuning system. You can now search more powerfully for the tunes. You can search in more places, apply tunes in different ways. So, you know, there's really changes all over the game. I feel like I've been going deep everywhere.
That's okay. Let's see if we can quick hit a couple of these. A lot of people asking about night and weather effects. What can you tell them?
So we're basically confirming everything here today. So we're not supporting night. We do have daytime running lights. They look great in the game. They look great on the car, but night was something we didn't get into in this version.
And weather effects, lots of people asking about that as well.
Right. We're not getting into weather effects either. This one is a little bit deeper for physics reasons as well, but really we worked on this lighting engine to set us ahead in the future, and so a lot of things are going to be a lot more possible moving forward, but in this version, no night, no weather.
Okay, fair enough. We haven't touched on the career. Career is really interesting to me this time. I think people are going to be experiencing the career in Forza Motorsport 5 in a brand new way. It's going to be a unique experience this time around, I think.
Yeah, it's a whole new career. We worked with Top Gear to actually bring this to bear. So we have hundreds of cars. They're broken into these groups, and they're not along technological lines. They're along spiritual lines and rivalries. So we've got, I think, about 48, 50 of those careers, and everyone is then customized based on the car you bring in. So if you go into a modern American muscle, right? You come in with a Camaro, I come in with a Ford Mustang, for example. We're going to have the same base career for those two cars, where you go to lots of cool locations, you have lots of great racing, but also you do some cool things that are very car specific. So it might be a Ford track day, it might be a passing car challenge. So it means that every car is not only Forza Vista, but every car also has its own career.
Cool. People asking about wheel support for Forza 5?
So Thrustmasters is making a new wheel for the Xbox One. Xbox One's a new platform. There will be, further evolution in the peripheral support moving forward. I honestly don't have the total picture there. What I can tell you is that Thrustmasters is making a big push. I think Mad Catz is as well. Our third-party team is working with a lot of different hardware manufacturers. Honestly, I'm just not the go-to guy on a lot of the hardware stuff.
Okay. Well, I think we are almost out of time because Dan has got to run off. He's got a ton of appointments today. So listen, I want you guys to remember that tonight we'll have a story on some of the details we've got for Open Wheel on ForzaMotorsport.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Forza Motorsport, on Facebook at facebook.com/Forza Motorsport. And I think if the stars align, we're going to do another one of these chats on Thursday morning, if we can align it, and get more questions to Dan. So please send us questions on Twitter, send us questions on Facebook, and we'll try to get to as many as we can on Thursday morning. I think that stream's going to start about 9:30. So Dan, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brian. Thanks to everyone for watching.
All right, and we'll see you guys next time.